I'm not kidding. I'm exhausted.
Me too. That was a lot.
I don't even know how we're going to talk about that. Because, kind of a staple of the show, nothing happened, and yet everything happened.
Oh, some stuff fucking happened. Some really upsetting, inappropriate stuff happened. I need to be so for real right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is I'm watching the White Lotus Season 3, Episode 5.
Full Moon Party.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, as aforementioned, I don't really know how I'm going to talk about this. I guess Piper tells her family, she tells
the parents,
Victoria and Timothy that she wants to spend a year in this meditation center / monastery.
Yeah, we did have somebody in the comments last week.
I thought it was a great comment.
It was a
great observation.
Super great comment that she was kept calling it a meditation center when
it
is
very
a monastery.
Western.
Yeah, but apparently what she is saying, and she could still be wrong, is that there is a meditation center attached to the monastery. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Victoria cannot wrap her mind around it.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch along with us, we've been having a blast watching the show. It is one of our more active rewatches. You can head our watch-alongs, reactions. You can head on over to patreon.com/I'm watching the show. Join the $3 tier. We left a lot out on the table, so I'm trying to think, because how do you feel about Victoria?
Okay. I'm with her to a point where it's like her child, her only daughter, wants to, after she's done with college, live in this foreign country across the globe and spend all her time here, presumably then also getting into a different religion, like a religion that is not aligned with Victoria.
Well, one that she is already in.
Yes.
And that is news to Victoria.
News to Victoria. Because she was like, honey, you're not Buddhist. And she was like, yeah,
yes,
I am. Like, I definitely am.
It's not shocking or novel or unique or whatever, but it is very well done, what I'm about to say. Victoria turns a blind eye to a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Again, that's not a hot take. That's very typical of this type of character.
But it's also very interesting, the things she's turning a blind eye to, because she is not turning a blind eye to whatever is going on with Timothy. This is now like the 6th time she's been like, is everything okay? Like, she is consistently following up and being like, you're not acting like yourself, what is going on? However, she then is turning a blind eye to every nasty part of Saxon. She does not, it's just all fun and games because of Uncle Babe or whatever. It's not, there's nothing.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then she is turning a blind eye to how Piper is so different from the family, because she's just like, well, you're just gonna, you're just going to find a man and get married, and it's going to be like me.
The fact that Piper might be an individual person and not just part of this family unit.
100%. And then she's totally turning a blind eye to how Lachlan is very othered in the family.
I have no idea what his deal is.
Yeah. Who was this character?
I mean,
who was this boy?
I kind of get it, but I want to say about Victoria, because this is a show that a lot of people really like to speculate and theorize, and it's fun. I get it. I like it. I'm fine with it. I will say, if this is your first rodeo, I really don't think this is that type of show. I think, as I've been saying this whole time, it threatens you with a lot of things it doesn't follow through on. Granted, it follows through on some things.
It does, yeah.
But I think it's the journey, not the destination. And so I felt so many different ways. Like, there was a point where I thought that I felt like Victoria knew. Like, she knew the whole time. And I think initially I thought that she knew, and that she had squirreled money away somewhere and she had this all under control. And then we had a point where we were like, well, maybe she's like turned him in. Like, maybe she's the one that's like done that. And now, after that last, what are you doing?
Doesn't know. She has no clue. Because because I've been pretty on team she doesn't know anything, because otherwise that's like really rudely laying it on thick when she was telling Piper that her dad's a Boy Scout.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's, you know, and so in this episode when she was like, you've already succeeded in every way, I was just like, no, she has no clue, because all she knows is that they are successful, they have 3 waspy kids, and they're good. And there's nothing else to say about it. She has no clue that
and they are seemingly culturally Catholic, but not at all spiritually Catholic, which is a thing. But
no, for sure. That's also something that was really interesting to me, that Piper, when she was talking to Timothy, who again is still on another planet, just up to his eyeballs in lorazepam and every alcohol available, because he was drinking white wine at dinner.
All of them.
Yeah.
Together.
He's like not really responding, and he just is like, I don't know, Piper. Like, I don't, you know, she's just worried or whatever.
I'm also surprised Piper hasn't keyed in that there's something wrong with him. Like, I feel like she's clocked
that he's acting strangely.
Like the very surface of it. But she hasn't gone.
Yeah, but I think that's also like she and Lachlan for sure, I think, were more socialized to like not read into their parents' stuff, whereas like Saxon was always like, he's like a take over the family business child.
Saxon was very, very groomed
there's
to be
like
who he is.
There's really a heir and a spare vibe to the whole family. You know what I mean? Where like they had the boy first and they were like, got that taken care of. Let's just see what happens
Piper
next.
has like a Cersei quality where all of her ambitions and stuff are not being nurtured.
Exactly.
Because that's not how it works around here.
100%. And the other thing too, what you said specifically, where you were like, it's just called a gap year. Like,
she kept talking about it like it was some scandal, and I was like, "Is that not like a rite of passage for so many affluent?"
What am I supposed to tell my friends? And I'm like,
now, granted, I do know that the Carolinas especially are their own beast. Like when people love to lump the South into like, oh, it's the South, and to an extent it is. Yeah. But there are kingdoms within.
Well, so in like my area is South Carolina, because that's where I went to school, and also then Charleston specifically. I'm not versed on like the whole of the South,
which is its
whole own thing. But again, you're told even like upper class people anywhere going on a gap year and like traveling the world and backpacking around Europe or like doing whatever is like a thing. So it is strange that she's so against it, and I hesitate to say it's coming from, although she did say some dicey things, I hesitate to say it's coming from a place of outright racism, because we haven't received that from Victoria in other ways about this Thailand adventure. So I don't know.
The racism is something I don't really know how to talk about with this show, and we'll get to more of it later in this episode. But because it's like the only thing that I think I'll say, at least for now, is I think that racism is one of it's a very complex and insidious thing in the world. And I think because we know it's bad and we want for it not to be a thing, we tend to boogeyman it and be like, this thing over there that's bad that we don't talk about. And I think that there's like I think that there's like a difference between passive racism and active racism.
So sure. So I would say she's being very
passively.
Well, because she was like some dirty like temple or whatever, and I was like, by all accounts, it's not dirty.
Beautiful.
It was stunning. And even the room that Piper was in did just look kind of like an office, an officey room, but like it was certainly clean. Like, yeah, I don't. So again, it's like she's not like saying outright horrible things, but it is like the tone and like the kind of things she's slipping in there that I'm like, I don't.
And again, it's coming like it. I feel like it's coming from an honest place for her, because it's coming from where she came from. Sure. Like it's coming it's coming from her culture and her world and her like yeah.
And the thing is like I can totally get on board with the part of it that is, I am scared for my child to be alone in a Southeast Asian country. She's been sheltered. She calls her sheltered in this. She's been sheltered her whole life. She's only grown up where we live. She doesn't know anything. So like I understand that part of it, but also like,
do you think
it's going too far with the like Nexium and sex trafficking and stuff?
That was LA.
That was America.
She's more susceptible to that at home.
Yeah.
And especially the wealth and privilege factor. About Victoria specifically, do you think it is as simple as she's afraid it will reflect poorly on her?
I think that's certainly part of it.
I think it's part of it, but I'm not getting
more
only that. Or
I do. So, okay, I think there is just general concern.
I think it's part of the lorazepam part where it's I feel like she does care about her family, or certainly wants to care about her family, but also in order for her to do that, she has to confront these things that she is very clearly not willing to confront. Mm-hmm. So I do find her fascinating.
Yeah, no, she's super fascinating. I would say there's definitely...
And that doesn't mean that I think she's a good person.
No, I don't think she's a good person. But I do think there are layers to the feelings she's having, because I do think that there is a general just concern for Piper's safety, which I feel like anybody would have, no matter the country. If your child wants to be in a foreign country from you for a year after they've just graduated college, I feel like that's general concern is fine. I think there is a smattering of racism in there. I think there is a healthy dose of what are my friends gonna think about this? Because it's not actually backpacking. It truly is. She is going to stay at a Buddhist temple.
A mission, yeah.
Yeah. So there is a lot in there, but it is a 7-layer dip of emotions that she's feeling all of them because she has no lorazepam.
And it's been a popular meme. The Buddhism, tsunami, Piper, no. And rightfully so, hard-earned memeness. But I just want to make sure that we're not undercutting the actual good work Parker Posey is doing.
Such good work. Really good work.
Because people are comparing her to Jennifer Coolidge, which I was that's fair. But after this episode, more so than ever, I'm yes. And it's not that she's like Jennifer Coolidge, but it is taking this actor who does some and similarly to Aubrey Plaza in season 2, where it's they have a reputation and they do something specific, and they do, but I've just never really seen you don't frequently see them used or utilized this way.
This, yeah, 100%.
Where do we go from here? I feel like this episode's going to be an hour and a half long.
Okay, let's get Belinda and Pornchai out of the way.
It's great.
Well, she's very worried. She's very worried about Greg/Gary. She talks to Fabian about it.
She confides in Fabian for some reason.
Sketch City, this guy.
I don't know what it is.
Kind of all of a sudden for me, Sketch City. I mentioned in the watch along too that I was what's interesting is that I had a lock on Murray Bartlett almost immediately in season 1, and then Valentina. She took a little bit longer, but once we got the lesbian twist, we were oh. Got it. You're solid. I have no fucking clue what's going on with Fabian, except that he is weird.
And he clearly has wants, desires, goals.
Yeah.
Because we had the scene where he was trying to talk to Shritala, which is now the second episode we haven't had or with her. But
she's credited, so checkmark 100 her agent for sure.
It's what she deserves.
It
is. He's just so on the periphery that I don't like it. You know what I mean? I'm you're here, and I don't know why you're here. And that makes me suspicious.
That's what's especially weird, because this is the first time that a manager of the White Lotus has not had
has felt like an afterthought.
A major plot. Yeah. So she confides in him about Gary/Greg, and at first he's oh, okay. And then as soon as she's I feel unsafe, he might do something to me, he's no, and also we shouldn't be gossiping.
Outright.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, she does fall under the umbrella of employee, even though she doesn't work for him.
This location, I guess technically, regardless, it was really sus, and I think and also he was we shouldn't be gossiping about guests, and I was Greg is not a guest.
I thought that too.
He comes to the restaurant, but he's not a guest of the hotel. He lives in a house across the way. So regardless, she has Pornchai over, and they are having drinks and hanging out in their night clothes together.
I was giddy.
It was so adorable.
It was so sweet.
It was very fan fiction-y.
But also it was giving me Fairytale vibes.
Because indeed there were 2 beds, but they still shared one.
But he was the knight in shining armor because he saved her from the dragon.
Out of her room.
Which I'm curious how the lizard got in there. It could be something as simple as she left the door open, but all I'm saying, All I'm saying is that scene was in this episode for a reason. And if the reason was just for him to be that, then that's fine.
I think that's fine. So I loved her whole... They kissed after he was like, should I sleep in this bed? Because there's two. And
she almost face planted, but she didn't.
She almost did. She just was like, you can, yes, obviously, or there's plenty of room in this one. And she was like, that's consent, just so you know. Do you guys have that here? We just started it. And the we just started it was like breathtakingly perfect writing. It was so good. So good. So they kissed. Adorable. Love this for Belinda. Love this for Pornchai. He is so
oh my god,
appealing and attractive to me.
It's grown. Like, he's identifiably good looking, but it has grown.
Yes, yeah.
Because there was a moment in this episode where he just stood up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and
I was like, yup.
The conversation we had.
I mean, so good.
And he wasn't even naked. It just, I don't know.
He was like fully covered. He was wearing a robe. He wasn't even in his underoos.
Oh, we can also hit Guy Talk. He's useless.
Just the worst. Just a noodle. Just a wet noodle.
Couldn't even take on Timothy. Timothy stole his gun.
And he watched
also footage of it. Again, also, Timothy is properly suicidal. I feel like we should have.
He is, yes. He
wrote, gun to his head.
He wrote a note, had a gun to his head before Victoria came out and asked what's going on. But he is drugged and drunk to the gills. And Guy Talk still couldn't get the gun back.
Asking permission. Are you going to give me my thing back?
Yeah.
Like, it just was. Like, Timothy could have been like, no, lie down. I'm going to walk on top of you out of this bathroom.
It was very, you could spill soup on me and I'd probably apologize to you. Like, that's the energy that I'm getting from Guy Talk.
Do we want to do the girls?
Let's do the girls last, because I think that's a real high note. And I want to get the brother fucking out of the way first.
Okay. Well, I did. So, Chloe and Chelsea are my heroes.
Oh my god. Chelsea is, but I love Amy Lou Wood, and so like Chelsea is it for me in this show. If Chelsea is the one who's dead, I'm gonna be so sad.
I can't imagine, even if Mike White planned it that way, I can't imagine he would have followed through on that once he saw what she was doing.
Sure.
Because this is a star-making role.
Oh my god, totally.
And like, people are talking about her. Yeah. But yeah, and Chloe is nuts.
Crazy putty.
Crazy putty for sure. And so they're bored, I guess. And so they're
going to the Moon Festival. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chloe's the one sort of pushing Charlotte into this. And Chloe seemingly does want to fuck Saxon because he gives her the creeps and she likes it, I guess.
Yeah, but then at some point they are swapping around, because then Chloe starts making eyes at Lachlan.
I don't know why, but I just thought sometimes he's the guy.
Oh, we do have to talk about Rick also.
Sometimes he's the girl, sometimes you're the girl, sometimes you're both the girl. That's hot.
Okay, well they're in the city, the town. They're getting
doing
drinks.
Drugs.
They're doing Chloe gets 4 pills. And Saxon is very no thank you. Like, very Nancy Reagan about it. Am I wrong?
You were having a hard time with...
We're punchy, sorry.
You were having a hard time with that.
I find it very strange that he would have never even done something like cocaine in college, that he feels like a coke guy.
I mean, I at first glance, sure, but I also buy that he would have, like, a health regimen or standards, or like my body's a temple.
Sure, you were totally right about his protein shakes and everything, but so far we've seen him drink a lot of alcohol, and again, he seems like a cocaine fraternity guy.
Well, but that's too hip. Because I feel like he's a time traveler. Like,
because you said he felt like the 90s.
He felt like he came right out of Spring Break 1998.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And the Lachlan, he had a big old basket of caution and he threw it right into the wind.
Wait, out with the bathwater. Okay, because
like butterflies at a Bob's Burgers wedding.
You're right. You're so right. It was so alarming. So, okay, first of all, he was drinking fast. And then again, Saxon was like, whoa, slow down a little. And he was like, whatever, man.
And he's
like,
got to weigh 110 pounds.
But this is what's so interesting to me is because so far Saxon's been like, you gotta loosen up, you gotta party, you gotta be confident, you gotta do all this stuff.
You called it. You think Saxon's a virgin.
I think Saxon's a virgin. So Lachlan is taking all of this advice, but now that he's like actioned this advice from Saxon, Saxon's like, pump the brakes, man. Like, pull up. And so Lachlan takes the pill like real fast, and Saxon was like, oh my god, like, oh, what are you doing? And he was like, what you told me to, man.
It was I wish I had a faster shorthand or something, but it was like that the Stephen King, like the button or whatever, where it's like,
sure.
if you press this button, someone you don't know. Yeah, that's what like she hadn't even gotten the pitch out. Yeah. And Lachlan was like
well, the other thing too is like, so there were no ill effects of the drugs, at least so far. Like they seemed to have like, but the sun was coming up, that's like generally the everything's fine like signal or whatever. But she wouldn't say what it was. And so I'm like, was it ecstasy? Was it Molly? Was it
I assumed
like,
it was
acid? Like,
no,
yeah,
it was
assume,
E.
Yeah. So anyway, they all four end up taking the pills. I was hoping Saxon was going to have a harder time with it, but he looked like he was sort of getting overwhelmed for a minute, and then everything was like, okay. Because it was like loud, and there was fire and fireworks and like all kinds of stuff. But they all seemed like they were doing okay. They went back on the boat and kept having a party. Chloe and Chelsea had a couple of like good talks about Rick and Gary, respectively. Chloe was like, this man of mine may kill me. Literally.
And she's sort of fine with it.
Yeah, she's like kind of whatever. And Chelsea like doesn't feel like she can cheat on Rick. She like really doesn't want to. And they do seem monogamous. Like he has not cheated on her yet either. So we'll see. But so then they're all partying and hanging out, and they make the girls kiss, and then Chloe makes the boys kiss, and Saxon doesn't.
Wish they were cousins. Like it would go down so much easier for me. That would so much more smoothly.
That would be not as alarming.
Spare me your middle class morality.
Saxon was really not going to, and then Lachlan just hauled off and like planted a wet one right on him.
But it felt like it was nothing for Lachlan.
Yeah.
And if it weren't, like, I would almost brush it off entirely if it weren't for the weird first episode.
Yes.
But I feel like it's going to take Saxon out in a way.
Yeah.
That I was thinking it was going to be the other way.
They hung on his face for a minute.
I feel like he's going to unravel.
Well, I am quite concerned it has awoken something in him, and whether that is actually lust for his brother or gay, I haven't decided. I'm more comfortable with gay, obviously.
I'm gonna
We're gonna tap out of that.
Move on.
So that is
I've talked about that as much as I want to.
That's largely where we left off with that anyhow. So
we got a surprise Sam Rockwell, Mr. Bibb.
Mr.
Leslie Bibb.
We love to see it.
A truly fantastic monologue performance from him.
The both of them, because every shot back to Walton Goggins' face was a new level of incredible.
Stunning.
Yeah, okay, first of all, I just want to say, like, literally such a good scene on both parts. It was beautifully written. It was beautifully acted. It was beautifully set in this bar with like a bunch of golden amber light. The whole thing, absolutely stunning.
I was on the edge of my seat.
2 actors, top of their game. It's like the Super Bowl when you get a scene like that. It's so incredible.
I have no idea what that meant. And I'm not going to try and diagram it or break it down.
I guess the overarching thing is that Sam Rockwell's character is sober now. I did not catch his name, very unfortunately. I don't remember what it was. He is sober now. And his monologue is basically his journey to sobriety, which it sounds like it started out very similarly to like Gary/Greg, which is he had a bunch of money. He came to Thailand to kind of like escape. He had nothing but time on his hands and money. He was hiring...
And a pension for Asian women.
He was hiring all kinds of, he was just having regular sex, and then he was hiring a bunch of sex, and then he was hiring, and I will use the parlance of the show, lady boys. And then he started having this like intense mental journey about how he wanted to be them f***ing him.
Or them being by
him. But it's him getting it was like a whole
fascinating.
It was truly incredible.
And the lack of judgment and fear from both of the actors, but also the characters.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a little bit of like, what the fuck is happening from Rick, but it wasn't in like an overt, like, you man, why are you telling me this? It was just a like, huh.
Just raw, uncut humanity.
Incredible.
Just straight from the tap.
Right to the dome. Like, no, it was like.
If I had popcorn, I like.
It was like truly.
It really caught me off guard. I did not think that was going to happen.
Yeah. And so basically, by the end of it, he was like, at a certain point, he realized like that was like all of this stuff was like manifestations of the same thing. And so he got sober and he's celibate and like he was drinking chamomile tea and like all of this stuff. Again, I'm with you. I have no idea what it means. I'm not trying to parse that.
I'm not trying to analyze it or
I mean, I think probably at the heart of it, it's meant to sort of be a warning to Rick, like, this is what off the deep end looks like, and I came back from it, and you still can too, because
and also like running away, chasing these desires, and like giving in to temptations.
Because Sam Rockwell's the one that provided Rick with the gun, so he has to know he's getting into something potentially life ruining, and I think in a roundabout way, it was kind of his warning, like his warning shot. So that's my vibe on that.
Wow.
But again,
and so he also
unbelievable.
Books him for a later.
And I think it's just to be
Shrutala.
Yeah, to be the producer. But then also
do we think that's related to whatever this beef with his "you killed my dad"?
Well, he's her husband.
Yeah. But it's like, what part of, why does she need to be involved? He can just kill her husband. Like, why is he?
Because he needs access to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like she needs him in order to get access because he's just a dude. He can't get access on his own. Okay.
Peep watch.
Ladies trip. Peep watch. Peep number 3.
Uh-huh.
You said
2.5. I heard or read something that we were going to get 4. I don't know if that's coming from any actual place of. Okay. But I mean, we're at 2.5/3. So.
Was the 0.5 just the prosthetic?
Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Schwarzenegger. Okay. Oh God, it was
wonderful.
Oh my God, so good.
Unlikely voice of reason, Kate, Leslie Bibb.
Okay, I actually loved to see it because we were all so thrown for the loop with the Trump stuff from a couple of weeks ago and the church too. And so this was really nice having her be the voice of reason. And like the thing is
sober sister
for sure. The thing is that like Lori is the only one, in my opinion, who is like fully behaving appropriately for this girl's vacation. She is here for a girl's vacation. Jacqueline is here because she is feeling deeply insecure about her age and her relationship. She's losing her grip
and needs to reestablish dominance.
100%. Also, she is the alpha of these 3 women. Socially, she's the alpha of these 3 women. And Kate, I think, is there I think she is also there for a vacation, but she feels more tightly wound than Lori. So she is like you said, the voice of reason in this episode, which is desperately needed. So they're at this club with the Russians.
Kate and Jackie, for me, have like a Regina George, Gretchen Wieners vibe, I feel like. Where it's like, I actually, based on everything that we have seen, subscribe to the fact that I believe these women are friends, or certainly have the intention or desire to be friends. I think that, yes, there's a toxicity to it, as there is with many things in life.
Well, it seems like they've been friends for like 40 years.
And they clearly have these dynamics. And the shifting of the dynamics, I think, is so fascinating. And also the places where they're hurting each other, it reminded me of when I was watching season 1 of episode 2 of Girls, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. This feels like what that was trying to do with just a bit more thought. a bit more nuance, a bit
well,
more.
and it also works better with older women and a longer friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Jackie kind of screws over Lori in the end of this episode.
Well, sure. Because she's been shoving...
Did you have more that you wanted to say
Not
leading
really.
up to... Okay.
She's been shoving Valentin at Lori the whole time, and then because she's still so insecure, she invites him back and has sex with him. And I'm just like, number 1, cheating. Number 2, stealing from your friend. Number 3, Russian. Like, I mean, he's hot, but no.
He's grown on me. I didn't think he was that appealing. And
Yeah.
the further into it we've gotten, the more appealing I find him.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that. Also, we're fairly certain that his friends are the ones who robbed the jewelry store earlier on. That detail escaped me initially. But I don't know. I feel like, yes, what Jackie did was bad. And Lori's going to be upset when she finds out.
I mean, I don't know.
But also, I do think it was coming from a at least I'll go with half earnest place from Jackie.
The trying to pair them together?
No. Well, yes, but also then being like, well, if you're not going to, I'm going to.
Yeah, the issue with that for me is that Lori's
like, I don't think she did that just to screw over her friend.
No,
I think she wanted it.
She wanted it for sure, but she wants it for wrong reasons.
Okay.
Because I thought they were engaged, but apparently Michelle Monaghan said husband in the thing. So
and he's just not responding
to her texts and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it's possible he is.
If he is filming, but.
Yeah, but I don't know. She on the phone last week. She was like, "I thought you weren't on set today." I mean, here's the thing: it is entirely possible he is like in a coma, and nobody contacted her, and now she's cheated with this Russian criminal, criminal maybe. But yeah, the whole thing was great. All the dancing. There was like a group of girls that were Thai girls that were watching them at the bar dance with the hot Russian guys, and Jacqueline caught their eye and sexy danced harder on them, and that didn't keep really going. But then one of them, the Julian Kostov, I still don't know his actual name, his girlfriend apparently came over and they got in like a shouting match, and that was the first time that Kate was like, I think it's time to go. And then Jacqueline, which also, she was passed out on the chair when Kate was like, okay, I think it's time, like, let's wrap this up, like, we need our beauty sleep, we're old women. And she like rose from the grave and was like, no, we're not. Incredible acting, timing, delivery from Michelle Monaghan, everything.
And also, I mean, considering that these are, and they said it themselves in the watch along after kind of conversation where they were like, this is an exploration of women of a certain age coming to terms with that. And she was like, and that is true of us as well as the characters. I think
Leslie Bibb is the oldest. She's 49, but and then Carrie Coon is like 44, and so they're all in between.
But it's like for the actresses themselves to be going through so much what the characters are, and when you consider that it is like 3 blonde middle-aged women, and for them to be so different, and for all 3 performances to be so different and yet excellent is like, wow.
Yeah.
And I like made a joke when we finished our reaction, but I was like, I need to go to the bathroom or throw up because I felt like
it was so intense.
Because even the whole like pool party scene, like it was fun and it was sexy and it was exciting, and Carrie Coon,
tits out. We love to see it.
Love it. But I was also like, I just felt like something violent was going to happen, or like something like I was like, somebody's head is going to
hit the bottom of the pool. I felt it too. I felt and you got very nervous when Saxon and Lachlan went over the side of the boat because you were like, it's night, and I
feel like things are lurking everywhere. Oh
yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I could wax poetic for hours about all the ladies in the party scenes and stuff, but that is largely it. They party with the Russians. Jacqueline is making a bad mistake. Just saying. Best case scenario, you cheated on your husband. Best case scenario.
Yeah.
That's all you did.
Yeah. So, like you said, like I said, there's probably more to say. We also probably forgot something, considering that there are people.
Timothy was praying at the end. That's how it ended, as him praying to God.
Considering that there are people
whatever.
who will look you straight in the face and tell you the show is boring. I found it to be wall to wall, just chock full of.
I have major concerns about those people. This was not
people.
boring.
I mean, people. Different strokes for different folks.
Of
People
course.
look for different things. So the no Tito shade.
Yeah.
Don't read into that. But I'm saying I find it riveting.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
find it utterly
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Totally.
so. I also think next week is supposed to be a doozy of an episode. I heard a lot of chatter about episodes 5 and 6.
Okay.
And I think that's all that people have seen.
Oh, okay.
So are there
7 and 8.
Yeah, I
Eight,
think
yeah.
they did not screen for
Okay.
anybody.
Cool.
I don't know what 4 more episodes of this is going to be like.
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
4 more of Yellow Jackets. Ugh. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Like and subscribe.
Thumbs up.